Beta, this is, I think, the last slide of the chapter or the unit acid, bases, and salt, the third lecture of the salts. In our previous class, we have studied about that there are two types of salts, the soluble and insoluble salts. This is the summary in front of you of your book. Okay, like the soluble salts, like all group 1 salts are soluble, all ammonium salts are soluble, all nitrate salts are soluble, all chloride salts are soluble except silver chloride and lead chloride. All sulfates are soluble except calcium, barium, and lead sulfate. All sodium, potassium, and ammonium carbonates are soluble except carbonates. Okay, but other than that, all other carbonates are insoluble. And how can you just memorize these things? Just memorize the soluble salts. अगर आप मेमोराइज किए कर लेते हैं तो बाकी इसके अलावा जितने भी सॉल्ट्स हैं वो क्या इनसॉल्युबल सॉल्ट्स हैं. There was the general method that if you are just going to prepare the salt, I'm just going to show one slide over here. This will just recall the thing that we have studied here. Like this is the reference that I have got from the book of Chemistry Matters, and one of the good thing that they have been told in that book. Okay, according to my reference slides, this is the method. If you are going to prepare any kind of salt, you must think what kind of salt you are going to prepare. Number one, is it a soluble salt or is it an insoluble salt? Okay, let's suppose uh, if you are just going to perform the salt that is soluble in nature. Okay, if it is soluble or if it is not soluble, that you will use the preparation method, like just you will dissolve the substance to one another and you observe the insoluble salt, and this insoluble salt is removed by the help of filtration. Okay, that technique we have also studied in our previous class. Okay, the insoluble material can be removed by the help of filtration, and then after it is dried, and first of all it is washed and dried, and after drying we can use that salt. But in case of soluble salt, we can use different kind of chemical reactions, like we can produce acid and bases, acids or metal or carbonates. Okay, if we are just going to produce a soluble salt which is soluble in water like sodium chloride, okay, so we have to understand that what kind of method we will use. Let's suppose, okay, if I'm just going to use the acid or base or acid or alkali or acid or carbonate solution, or if I'm just going to produce using that method acid and metal. But remember one more thing, if I'm just using the excessive metal and the salt is soluble, you can just, what will you do, just you will just react the metal with the acid and you will get the soluble salt, the insoluble excessive residue that is not reacted yet. This residue will be filtered out. That's it. And the reaction mixture and the soluble salt now which is found in the aqueous form, this aqueous material will be removed by the help of crystallization or evaporation. But if I'm using acid or alkali or acid or any kind of carbonate, means the both substance or the both things like that I'm using, they all are soluble in nature. That's why we must know the exact quantity of acid or exact quantity of alkali or exact quantity of carbonate that I'm using. And for knowing the exact quantity of acid, alkali, or any kind of material that I'm using, we use a method which is called titration. Why 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 titration is very much necessary? I'm just going to share my whiteboard here. Why titration is necessary? Let's suppose I'm just going to prepare the sodium chloride. ठीक है? I need to produce a salt that is sodium chloride, and sodium chloride is the soluble salt. Am I right, beta? Soluble salt, the table salt that we use in our houses, in our kitchen. Okay, there are two methods that I can use. Like first is I have HCl, hydrochloric acid. Okay, HCl, and because from this HCl the Cl will be used, but Cl will react sodium, so I must have sodium. And in that case of sodium, let's suppose if I have sodium hydroxide, one is strong alkali and second one is strong base, am I right beta? And they both will react together and they will produce what? They will produce NaCl, and I'm using the terminology here that I'm just writing AQ. What's the meaning of AQ? What's the meaning of AQ? Means the water.
Aqueous. Yes, in liquid,
Aqueous.
right.
Okay, the aqueous material has been produced here, but we know that I don't know how much quantity of HCl and how much quantity of sodium hydroxide is needed here. This is just a balanced chemical equation that is giving me the idea that HCl must be 1 mole and sodium hydroxide must be 1 mole, and they will produce a 1 mole sodium chloride aqueous solution. But what would be the concentration? We have also studied that the concentration, this is the amount of solute that is dissolved in the solvent. Now in both cases we are just using what? We are using the aqueous hydrochloric acid, and we have also the aqueous sodium hydroxide. Let's suppose I'm using, let's suppose just this is my personal value. Let's suppose I'm using 500 cubic centimeter of 500 cubic centimeter of HCl, and the same the 500 cubic centimeter of sodium hydroxide, okay, in aqueous form. But the concentration of this sodium chloride, the concentration, the amount of hydrochloric acid that has been dissolved in the water, that is I'm using the 1 molar solution. Means the 1 mole of HCl has been dissolved in 100 cubic in 1 dm cube water. Now but in that case I'm just using what? I'm using in sodium hydroxide, although the quantity, the volume and the quantity of acid and base both are equal, but in that case I'm using 3 molar solution, okay, or 3 m concentration of sodium hydroxide. And we know that the quantity of HCl and sodium hydroxide, they both will react and they will produce sodium chloride. But along with that we also have what? Along with that we also have the unused or unreacted, because we know that the chemical reaction is not 100% in the form of complete structure. Means no chemical reaction completed in 100% way. There might be 99.99999% completion rate, but there must be 0.0001% incomplete structure found in any chemical reaction. So the unused or unreacted HCl and sodium hydroxide is also there in a reaction mixture. So now these two things are also found in my reaction mixture. I'm using the term reaction mixture. Okay, why I'm using that? Because let's suppose I have one beaker. I'm just drawing that beaker. Let's suppose this is the one beaker, the one glass beaker. Why that is not coming here? Okay, the one beaker that keeps hydrochloric acid, another beaker that keep sodium hydroxide. Okay, now there is a large beaker, and what I'm going to do, I'm just pouring these two things like the NaOH, the sodium hydroxide, and HCl, the both chemicals, that just I'm just going to pour these chemicals into that beaker. Okay, now this large beaker will have three things, four things, like one is sodium chloride. The sodium chloride is produced by the reaction of HCl and sodium hydroxide. Then water, okay. Along with that water we also have the unused quantity or the unused or unreacted HCl and unreacted sodium hydroxide. Means these two things, the unreacted sodium chloride and hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide, basically they are what? They are the impurities. They are what? They are the impurities. I'm just going to define what is the importance of that titration, because we need to know the exact quantity and exact concentration of each and every substance. These are the impurities. And as we know that sodium chloride is our table salt, we use it in our houses, in our kitchens. That's why these impurities can be transferred to our foods. So what is the solution? What is the solution? The solution is just react the exact quantities. Just solution is just react the exact quantities. हमें एग्जैक्ट क्वांटिटीज जो हैं वो रिएक्ट करनी है, ताकि हमारे पास जितना मटेरियल है वो यूज हो जाए. ठीक है, एग्जैक्ट क्वांटिटीज इन एग्जैक्ट with exact concentration. With exact concentration. So for that we need a method. This is called titration. I'm just writing titration. Titration. Got my point? Why do we need the process of titration? Because we need to find out the exact quantities which are needed to react, okay, to produce the soluble salt. So what are the methods that we are going to have? I'm moving here, the titration method. I will request you, beta, can you please read out the slide that is found in front of you? That one. बेटा इसको जरा पढ़िए.
Titration method. This is a method to make a neutralization reaction between a base and an acid, producing a salt without any excess. In this method, the experiment is performed twice. The first time to find the amount of reactants to use, and the second experiment to find the actual amount. In the first experiment, you add 50 centimeter cubed of sodium hydroxide using a pipette to be accurate to a flask. Add 5 drops of phenolphthalein indicator to sodium hydroxide. The solution turns pink, indicating the presence of a base. Fill a burette to 0 mark with hydrochloric acid. Add drops of the acid to the conical flask. The pink color of the solution becomes lighter. When the solution turns colorless, stop adding the acid. The endpoint is the point at which every base molecule is neutralized by an acid molecule.
Just hold it. This is the end point. Means every base molecule has been neutralized by an acid. Means the quantity that we were using, each and every molecule has been participated and consumed. It means there is no more acid and no more base is found in our apparatus. Okay, now please continue, record the amount.
Record the amount of hydrochloric acid used and repeat the experiment without using the indicator. After the second experiment, you will have sodium chloride solution. Evaporate till it dries to obtain powdered sodium chloride, or crystallize it to obtain sodium chloride crystals.
Okay. Now, beta, there is one situation can be asked by the examiner. Let's suppose you don't have any kind of indicator and you want to produce the sodium chloride. the soluble salt by the help of hydrochloric acid and sodium hydroxide. You don't have phenolphthalein, then what will you do? And you need to perform the titration to find out the end point. बेटा क्या करेंगे आप?
You could add the same amount of sodium hydroxide to the same amount of hydrochloric acid.
But we do not know the concentration of each and every substance.
Can you use litmus paper?
Yes, you are now little bit closer. In that case, we can use a pH meter, the electronic pH meter, because we know that this is a neutralization reaction. The end point always gives the result of 7 pH. Okay, we will just open the tap of the burette, and the drop by drop hydrochloric acid or the chemical that is found in that burette will be dropped down. Let's suppose the beaker or the conical flask that we have here, and there is one pH meter is here. On that time the pH is showing, let's suppose the pH is about 13. As the acid and base will react together, the pH will decreases, the pH will decrease, and the pH will reach to 7. This is the end point. Now this is the point by which you can identify that how much quantity of hydrochloric acid and how much quantity of sodium hydroxide can be used to produce the NaCl. Better one more thing. I'm moving where the application of titration. I'm just going to show the screen over here. Look at it. Okay, that is titration. What are they doing? They are doing titration. I'm just going to give one example here, and by the help of that example you can identify how titration can be involved. Let's suppose you are just mixing hydrochloric acid and sodium carbonate to produce the sodium chloride, water and carbon dioxide gas. The carbon dioxide gas will be bubble off, but we don't know. We know the volume of each and everything, but we do not know the concentration of these substances. Okay, now just I'm going moving towards any kind of example here. That one. That one. The 20 cubic centimeter of 1 m or 1 molar sulfuric acid were neutralized by 25 cubic centimeter of ammonia solution. Calculate the concentration of ammonia solution. I'm just copy pasting this material from this side to my screen, and I will use my whiteboard, and I will just find out the concentration by the help of titration method. The question that has been asked in the paper or in the book, what was the situation that has been given here? 20 cubic centimeter of 1 m sulfuric acid were neutralized by 25 cubic centimeter of ammonia solution. Calculate the concentration of ammonia solution. Now this is the question that has been asked here. I'm just going to draw the structure here. Let's suppose you have one glass beaker. Okay, this glass beaker keeps what? This glass beaker keeps the ammonia solution. I'm just using that color. Let's suppose this glass beaker keeps what? The ammonia solution. Okay, and along with that we have few drops of indicator. These are the indicators. Okay, now we have what? We have one burette here. Okay, this is the burette, and this burette keeps sulfuric acid. This burette keeps the sulfuric acid. This keeps what? Ammonia solution, that is NH3. Ammonia solution means aqueous ammonia. I'm using the word AQ here, and this keeps the sulfuric acid solution, which is aqueous sulfuric acid. I'm using the term here. Now the next part. Let's suppose I just open the tap, and the drops of the sulfuric acid will move here and they will react with the ammonia. First of all, we first need to know what is the basic chemical equation of these things. Let's go, what's the formula of sulfuric acid? That is H2SO4. That is then NH3 ammonia. We know that sulfuric acid is an acid and ammonia is a base. Okay, so what will happen is the ammonium sulfate solution will be formed. And what is the formula of ammonium sulfate? NH4. Okay, NH4 SO4 plus H2O. Okay, now NH4SO4 ammonium sulfate will be formed here. But what is the formula of ammonium sulfate? That is NH4 2. I'm just drawing the formula here because in our previous class we have understood that how can we draw the structure of the formula. NH4 2, okay, and SO4, and this is H2O. Now the next part, आपने यहाँ पे पहले तो अपनी chemical equation draw कर देनी है ना. Now, okay, and one thing that is missing, that is the salt and water are producing. First of all, balance them. What's the quantity of nitrogen here? 1, and these are 2. I'm just placing what? I'm placing 2. What's the quantity of hydrogen? 2 and 3, 6. 2 3s are 6 and 2 8. 2 4s are 8 and 2 10. Now what should I do? I will just placing the 2 here. But before going to do that, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to balance the other substances. Like how many sulfur are there? The sulfur is 1. The sulfur is 1. The oxygen is 4. The oxygen is 4 and 1 5. So if it is 5 and this is 1, then I want to place 2 here. Now it will become 2 2s are 4 and 2 3s are 6 10. 2 4s are 8, and just time, and okay, there is no need that 2 hydrogen are there. The 2 hydrogen are there. Okay, I think so it has been balanced. ये balance हो गई है. देखें इसके अंदर कोई चीज़ रह तो नहीं गई. 2 2s are 4 and 2 3s are 6 10 hydrogen. 2 4s are 8 and 2 10 hydrogen. How many sulfur are there? Sulfur are 2 sulfur are there. And what I'm going to do, if I'm just putting 2 here, what would be the reaction? Like this. Okay, just balance that chemical equation, then it will become 2 and 2, and it will become more 4, and I will just put here 2 and 4 2 8 10. Okay, we will place the 2 here. The point of the question is that we are here producing the ammonium sulfate and water. Now beta, the question is that the initial volume of the sulfuric acid, let's suppose that was 100 cubic centimeter. Let's suppose, okay, this is although that is 100 cubic centimeter, and it will move here and it will become 80 cubic centimeter. And by using the 80 cubic centimeter of the volume, now what's the difference? How much quantity of the sulfuric acid has been used here? That is the difference of these two things, that is 20 cubic centimeter. The 20 cubic centimeter volume has been used. Okay, now the 20 cubic centimeter volume has been given here. This is the volume of sulfuric acid. I'm just using the VA. VA means the volume of the sulfuric acid. What is this? This is 1 m. This is the concentration. The concentration of acid that has been given here, that is 1 mole per dm cube. 1 m means the 1 mole per dm cube. This is the concentration of the sulfuric acid. Okay. Now the another thing that has been asked here, the 25 cubic centimeter of the ammonia. This is the volume of the base or alkali. This is the volume of the base. Calculate the concentration. Calculate the concentration of what? Calculate the concentration of ammonia. That is what? This is called the Cb. Now, beta, what should I do? Or what to do? By the help of that chemical equation, I am just saying that how many hydrogen are there. If by the help of that there are 4 hydrogen are there and 6 hydrogen are there, now it means there are 10 hydrogen. Because we need to find out the moles also. At the left hand side, 2 4s are 8, and these 2 2s are 4, 4 4s are 16, and this one, अगर मैं यहाँ पे 2 भी नहीं भी लगाता हूँ तो यहाँ पे मेरे पास सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड कितना हो रहा है? सल्फ्यूरिक एसिड यहाँ पे हमारे पास 2 आ रहा है. In a simpler way, what I'm going to do, just I need to find out what मुझे सिर्फ और सिर्फ क्या चाहिए? इनके सिंपल मोल रेशियो चाहिए. By the help of that mole ratio, what will I do? I will just produce what? I will produce the mole ratio, and by the help of that mole ratio I can just produce कि मैं यहाँ से इसकी concentration find out कर सकता हूँ by the help of concentration. Okay. Now beta, help me to balance this equation. Help me to balance that equation. How many hydrogen are there?
2.
2. Okay, only 2?
No, this side and over here there's 3, so
Yeah.
5.
How many hydrogen are there? 2 plus 3, that is 5. Okay. Now how many hydrogen are there? 2 4s are 8. 2 4s are 8, and this one is 2, means they become 10. It means I will increase the hydrogen here. Okay, what will I do? I'm just putting 2 here. Why? Because this 2 nitrogen, there are 2 nitrogen. Just I'm moving here. I'm not moving towards anything. I'm just moving towards sulfur. How many sulfur are there? 1. How many sulfur are there? 1. How many oxygen are there? 4. How many oxygen are there? 4. How many nitrogen are there? 1. And how many nitrogen are there? 2. So if there is only 1 nitrogen, what will I do? I will just place 2 here. It will become what? 2 3s are 6 and 4 10. Now the hydrogen has balanced and this has been balanced. अब देखें यहाँ पे बैलेंस हो गया है, पूरा बैलेंस्ड हो गया है. Now it has been balanced or not? The equation has been balanced. Now by the help of that equation, I can see that what is the mole value that is found in the chemical equation, that is 1 mole. And what is the mole value of ammonia? That is 2 mole. Means the mole ratio is 1:2. Now I will apply the formula of the titration. You know what is the formula of the titration? The simple way of finding the concentration of any unknown material by the help of the formula of the titration, that is Ca means the the volume of any acid. I'm using the word volume of any acid Va or V1, ठीक है. एंड क्या है आपके पास, जल्दी बताएं. V1 C1 divided by N1 means this is the acid side, the left hand side is the acid side, is equal to V2 C2 upon N2. Now beta apply the formula and apply the values here, because what is the value we have, just apply the value. What is the value of V1? That is basically, this is V1. Va means the acidic side, that is V1. This is acid side and this is the base side. Okay, the V1, the value of V1 is 20 cubic centimeter. The V1 is 20 cubic centimeter. I'm not converting the cubic centimeter into dm cube. Why? I'm just going to give the value here. And what is the concentration of sulfuric acid on the left hand side? That is 1 m, means 1 multiply by 1 mole per dm cube. This is the unit of, or the measuring unit of any kind of concentration, 1 mole per dm cube. Okay, what is the mole, the actual mole finding in the equation? What is the mole value of sulfuric acid? That is 1. What I'm going to do, I'm just placing 1 mole here. बेटा अब आप मुझे बताएंगे कि इसकी कंसंट्रेशन कितनी आएगी. नेक्स्ट आपके ऊपर है. देखिए V2, what's the volume of the base side? That is 25 cubic centimeter. If I'm doing anything wrong, just tell me. What is the concentration of the acid or the ammonia solution? We do not know. I'm just writing the C2 here. And what is the value or the mole value of the ammonia that is finding in the chemical equation? That is 2. That is here. So beta, first of all, cancel out the materials that are same, the same things, like this cubic centimeter and this cubic centimeter will be cancelled out. And most of the people, they say that why you are not changing the cubic centimeter into dm cube. Why? Because the both sides, they have the same measuring unit, they will be cancelled out. The mole dm cube, okay, the mole dm cube will not be here, but this mole and this mole will be cancelled out. Now in the simplified form, now we have what? We have 20 multiply by 1 mole per dm cube, and again this 2 is dividing here, it will be shifted here, it will be multiplied by the 2, and this 25 is multiplying here, it will be shifted on the left hand side and it will be considered as divide. So this is already 1 is there and it will be placed like this, and we have the value of second concentration. Now but आप इसकी concentration की value आप find out करें. What would be the value? 21 is 20 multiply by 2, that is 40. 40 divided by 25, what is the value? Give me the answer, hurry up, give me the answer.
Sir, 1.6.
That is 1.6, sure?
Yes, because it's 40 divided by 25, right? So it's 1.6.
Okay. And what will be the unit here?
Mole per cm cube.
Mole per dm cube, not cm cube.
dm, yes.
Okay, why? How can you say that this is the unit we will use here? बेटा हम dm cube ये क्यों करेंगे? क्योंकि because only the measuring unit is here, that is the mole dm cube. Okay, your answer is right. The answer is 1.6 mole per dm cube. This is the concentration of the second solution, and this is the formula of titration. So by the help of that formula, you can see that what kind of material we have. We have the volume, we have the volume of the acid, we have the concentration of the acid, we found the moles by the help of equation, we have the volume of the base, we have the moles of the base, but we don't have the concentration. So by the help of that formula, you can also find out the exact concentration, means if you are using, let's suppose this is 25 cubic centimeter, this is 20 cubic centimeter, but your answer is absolutely different from as compared to your concentration, because this is 1 mole and that would be 1.6 mole, because concentration play a very very vital role in case of chemical reactions. So this is also one of the applications that I was just going to describe the material in front of you, and that was the thing that was I was just trying to tell you that how can you use the concentration, because concentration, it doesn't mean that you are just going here to make the salt, the insoluble salt. The real application of the concentration is that to find the exact concentration. The real application of the titration is that the real application of the titration is that to find the exact concentration by performing the process of titration. Okay, beta. Without wasting the time, I'm just moving towards uh, my PowerPoint presentation, and inshallah, I will also share that PowerPoint presentation to you after completing my class. Okay. As I have told you that if you don't have any kind of uh, indicator, that then you can use also the pH meter, because this pH meter will change to 7. The pH will decrease and decrease, and it will give the value of the 7, and this 7 is the end point of the chemical reaction. Okay, now beta, this is the process of titration. Have you got the process of titration, beta?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the precipitation method, we have also understood that precipitation means the solid particles, the clumps of the salt that are not soluble in the water. That's why, like the barium sulfate and the lead chloride, etc. Like if you want to produce the barium sulfate, what will you do? This is barium chloride, you will react with sodium sulfate, and these two salt will react together and they will produce the barium sulfate and sodium chloride. Okay, now because we know that the barium sulfate is found in a solid structure, what will you do? Just you perform what? You will just perform the filtration technique. You will perform the filtration technique and separate out this barium sulfate. That's it. Okay, add the two salt solution in the beaker. Now this is another way to produce the salts. Okay, like these are two salts. In our last class, we have not studied that chemical reaction. We have studied the acid reacting with metal, acid reacting with alkali, acid reacting with base, uh, acid reacting with carbonates, and ammonium salt are reacting with the bases or alkali. But this is also one of the way to produce salts, and in this case we also this is also called the double displacement method. Why? Because the barium will be displaced by the sodium. Okay, or the and sodium will displace the barium, and it will react with the chlorine, and chlorine is basically displacing the sulfate, because chlorine is more electronegative and more reactive than sulfate, and sodium is more reactive than barium. They both are reacting their reagents or material, and they are making their own compound. So by the help of that thing, you can also produce the soluble salt and insoluble salt. But to remove the insoluble salt or the precipitate of the insoluble salt, what will you do? You will just perform the uh, filtration technique, and the remaining portion will be used just to evaporate the material, and by the help of evaporation or crystallization, you can also produce the sodium chloride. Now this is the thing that you can understand, but the point of understanding is that, okay, how can you identify the salt has been produced? Because the excessive quantity of these two substances, like these are the barium chloride and the sodium sulfate, they will react together and they will produce a insoluble substance, and this is the insoluble material will be washed out, because after time the temperature, the change in temperature will not found, and after the time you will see that there is no increasing in temperature will be showing in the thermometer. That's why may use, or you may indicate that your chemical reaction has been completed. The last portion of our slide. Okay, what are the benefits of these salts? Okay, because by the help of these salts and different kind of acid and alkalis, we can also control the soil pH. Why? Because the different plants, they grow on different pH of the soil. That's why we need to control them. And most of the time, because of the acid rain, our soil become too much acidic. That's why we need to neutralize it. And we know that how can we neutralize, or how can we reduce the effect of acidic pH, by adding the alkali, like calcium hydroxide, like calcium oxide, and these material will react with the acidic content of the soil, and they will be neutralized. The most important thing, beta, please write it down into your notebook, that you have an unknown sample, because you don't know what kind of salt is found there, but you can deduce the idea by the help of that color. Okay, you need to memorize that thing. Like the hydrated copper sulfate solution, okay, it will produce the blue crystals. What is the color of the anhydrous copper sulfate? That is blue. That is the in the solid structure, the structure, it will produce the white powder, but in case of solution it will also produce the blue. In case of copper nitrate, in solid structure it will produce the blue, but in case of solution it will also produce blue. But in that case of, now let's suppose you have three samples of the substances, and you need to find out which sample is anhydrous copper 2 sulfate. What will you do? You will just vaporize the water. On vaporization, if the color of blue will change to white, it indicates that the substance is what? The substance is copper sulfate. By the help of these color chain, you can identify what kind of salt is there. And there are different kind of gases that we have also studied in our previous classes. Okay, ammonia, how can you identify the presence of ammonia? You just react the moist litmus papers. The moist litmus paper, like the red litmus paper, turn blue, because we know that the ammonia basically is a base. Okay, but why we are using the moist or humid litmus paper? Because the ammonia gas will not react with the litmus paper. So in the presence of water it will react. Like carbon dioxide, the carbon dioxide, the test means the carbon dioxide will be passed from the calcium hydroxide, the colorless solution will turn milky. We have also studied in our previous classes. Okay, what is the test for the oxygen? The glowing splint test. The oxygen will relight the glowing splint. Hydrogen will produce the pop sound. The chlorine will bleach the damp litmus paper or the moist litmus paper. The nitrogen oxide will turn the blue litmus paper red. Why? Because the nitrogen oxide, this is an acidic oxide. Okay, we have also understood that this is what? This is a non-metallic oxide. That's why there are two chances. The non-metallic oxide, either they are neutral or they are acidic. So the nitrogen oxide is acidic oxide. Sulfur dioxide, it will also turns acidified aqueous potassium dichromate from orange to green. Please, 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 please memorize these things. These things are very, very, very important. Okay, I will take some more time because I need to complete that task today, inshallah. Let's suppose, beta, you have one solution and you need to find out what kind of salt is there. So in IGCSE, in GCE, in Edexcel, in all these boards, we have two reagents that are used to identify different kind of ions, means cations and anions of the salt. Because we know that salts are the ionic compounds. That's why they keep the negative and positive ions. Okay. Now, there are different kind of things that you may use. Like in case of anions, anions are totally different, like the negative ions. We know that the carbonates react with salt. The carbonates, when they react with acid, they produce the carbon dioxide. This test is called effervescence, or the carbon dioxide bubbles will be produced. If you want to know that the carbonates are present in that salt, you just react the salt with an acid. It will produce the carbon dioxide bubbles, or this is called effervescence. Let's suppose any salt which keeps the chloride, iodides, nitrates, or sulfates. Okay, what will you do? Just add, let's suppose you have the sodium chloride. Just add the dilute nitric acid and then add the aqueous silver nitrate, the white precipitate will be formed. In case of iodide, the yellow or light yellow precipitate or the clumps will be formed. Okay, in case of, we are using in both cases chloride and iodide because they are halides, and we are using the nitric acids. Okay, why? Because let's suppose you have the sodium chloride, it will produce the sodium nitrate, and the nitric acid will react with the sodium iodide, will it will produce the sodium iodide, sodium nitrate. Okay, and the iodine will be free from that side, and we know that what is the color of iodine, that is yellow. You do not need to move in detail, but you have to memorize, because these are the things that are very 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 important regarding your subject, your paper. Like in case of nitrate, just add aqueous sodium hydroxide and just give the heat, because on heating the ammonia gas will be produced, and by the just then after, if the bubbles are producing, just react these bubbles with the help of the litmus paper, and these litmus paper, if the red litmus paper turn blue, it means the ammonia is producing. Okay, if you have the sulfate, just acidify with any kind of acid, then add the aqueous barium nitrate, the white precipitate produced. Now these are the effects and the results, and by the help of these effects you can justify that your salt may contain carbonate, chloride, iodide, nitrates, or sulfate. So it is a tricky thing, but you need to memorize them, because this is the part of your subject, your syllabus, and this is the qualitative part of the chemistry, means this is the diagnostic part of the chemistry. Like in case of cations or the positive ion, you will just focus on two reagents, aqueous sodium hydroxide and aqueous ammonia. Like aluminum and calcium, okay, and zinc. Aluminum, calcium, and zinc, they will produce the white precipitate. Look at here. Aluminum will produce the white precipitate on reacting with sodium hydroxide. Calcium will produce the white precipitate on sodium hydroxide. Okay, zinc will also produce the white precipitate. Okay, one more thing that you need to identify here. I'm just moving here.
Sir, I can't hear you.
Okay, now beta, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now that was the thing that in our last slide, what I was just needing to show you, that the last portion I'm just going to again showing, to identify the different kind of ions, identify the different kind of ions, the positive ions and the negative ions. Like in case of positive ions, there will be the color change on reacting of sodium hydroxide and aqueous ammonia. That was, these were the two last slides, and this is the last portion of our topic. And alhamdulillah, we have completed the acid, bases, and salt. But before going to do that, I will just request to watch that video. It will help you to understand the basic concepts of the salt, identification of the salt, like the folder of identification here. Okay, the qualitative analysis of cations and anions. First of all, we will move towards the gases. Okay, I will take some more time, lekin it will help you to understand the concept of the qualitative effect of the things. First of all, the video that I have obtained.
Sir, I can't hear it.
Yes, beta.
I can't hear the video.
Beta, there is no need to hear the video because I have just muted the sound. I'm just going to describe what kind of gases you are going to identify and how can you identify the gas. Okay, just watch the video and focus on my voice. Let's suppose we have different kind of gases. Okay, what are the gases? Just focus on the result. Carbon dioxide, oxygen and hydrogen, these all gases are colorless, and these are the three test tubes, and these three test tubes keeps what? Carbon dioxide, oxygen and hydrogen. Okay, procedure and observation that you are going to perform. We will perform the light in splint. आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है?
Yes, sir.
Okay, look at here, the test number 1, we lit the splint. What I am going to do, the person is going to getting close the splint, and what will happen? The splint just re-glow. Look at here, splint को इन्होंने बुझा दिया. Now he is closing the splint. क्या हुआ? दोबारा इसके अंदर देखे फ्लेम आ गया. This is the indication that this is oxygen, because oxygen helps in what? In burning. Okay, now what is he doing? He is just mixing the calcium hydroxide, is a colorless solution. It produces the white precipitate. This means that the carbon dioxide is there. But in case of the first thing, what was he doing? The glowing splint will show a pop sound. Okay, you can experience that thing also. When it will be here, the pop sound, you will just feel the jerk. Okay, now feel that jerk. This is because of the pop sound, the jerk in the flame. You can observe that again, that jerk. Okay, now that indicates that this is hydrogen. Okay, because when you close the splint, it will produce a sound pop, pop, and this pop sound indicates that the gas is hydrogen. Now I'm moving towards the, this is also the soundless this is also the soundless video, testing for the cations by using the sodium hydroxide. Just observe what is going on. First of all, we have the aluminum ion. Okay, the solution of the salt that keeps the aluminum, like the aluminum nitrate, aluminum chloride, etc, 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 just anything. Okay, the solution keeps the aluminum ion. What I'm going to put? I'm just putting the sodium hydroxide over here. Now you can see that on putting the sodium hydroxide, the white precipitates, the white color has been formed. Okay, on adding some more sodium hydroxide, what is happening? The white precipitate has been dissolved. Again, look at here. Aluminum ion, just note down. Okay, few drops of aluminum ion or few cubic centimeter, adding few drops of sodium hydroxide, the white color has been formed. On adding some more sodium hydroxide, what is happening here? The white precipitate has been dissolved. Now we are moving towards the next thing. Okay, now please note down, aluminum plus little quantity of sodium hydroxide solution is equal to white precipitate. Aluminium plus more quantity of sodium hydroxide solution, white precipitate dissolved. Okay, now again the next side. Moving where to the zinc ion. Now this is what? This is the zinc ion or the zinc solution. The solution which gives the zinc ion, the zinc 2 positive ion on adding little quantity of sodium hydroxide. The same thing, look at here. What is the color? The white precipitates are producing. On adding some more sodium hydroxide, the same result. Like aluminum, the white precipitate has been dissolved. Okay, write down these all results. Okay, now we are moving the lead 2 positive ion, little quantity of lead 2 positive ion, and the little quantity of sodium hydroxide, like few drops. The darker white precipitates are formed, like the milky structure has been formed. On adding some more sodium hydroxide, now you can see that white precipitate has been dissolved. Now the calcium ion. Adding some sodium hydroxide, you can see that the white precipitates are formed in that test tube. Adding some more sodium hydroxide in the calcium ion. Now what's the effect? No precipitate being dissolved, means that still the white precipitates are there. But in case of previous three results, like in aluminum and in zinc and in lead, the white precipitate were forming, but on adding some more sodium hydroxide, the precipitates were being dissolved. But in case of calcium, the on adding more sodium hydroxide solution, it means that still the white precipitates are there, which indicates that this, if you have, let's suppose if you have four different solution, and you need to find out the calcium, and you have only one reagent, that is sodium hydroxide, mixing in sodium hydroxide solution with all these solutions, white precipitate will be formed in the initial stage. But on adding more sodium hydroxide solution, still one solution will keep the white precipitate and other will dissolve the white precipitate. Okay, the constant condition of the white precipitate indicates that the solution keeps the calcium ions. Got it? Now in case of copper 2 ion, it's very simple because the color of copper 2 is also blue. Now that's the blue transparent solution. We are adding sodium hydroxide. Now what's happening? The solid clumps are producing, these are what the blue precipitate forms. Now what we will do, we will add some more sodium hydroxide and mixing with the gentle way. The blue precipitate does not dissolve, it means that blue precipitate are still there. The appearance of the blue precipitate, it means the substance keep what? The copper 2 positive ion. Now iron 2 positive. This is the iron 2 positive solution. On adding sodium hydroxide, the dirty green precipitate of iron will be formed, iron 2 positive. On adding some more sodium hydroxide, still the dirty green precipitates are there, like these are the precipitate also found in different kind of dirty areas. Like this is iron 3 positive, the rusty solution, yellowish brown color. On adding sodium hydroxide, okay, brown precipitate are formed. Okay, the brown precipitate has been formed on adding some more sodium hydroxide solution. What is happening here? You can see that still brown precipitates are there, means the appearance of the brown precipitates is the indication of iron 3 positive. In case of ammonium ion, this is colorless. On adding sodium hydroxide, no change, no precipitate or no clumps is introduced. But we know that now the solution keeps the ammonia gas. What will we do? We will just heat the solution, and we have the two litmus paper, the moist litmus paper, red and blue. We add some more sodium hydroxide, we hold it, and we are just heating the solution. On heating, we know that on heating the ammonia solution will produce the ammonia gas, and this ammonia gas will turn the red litmus paper blue. On gently heating, when you observe the bubbles, now observe the phenomena. Okay, but perform that process in a very safety way, because the bubbles can spill over to skin, means the red litmus paper turned blue. Now you can look here, the red litmus paper. Now that was the red litmus paper, it again turned blue, but there was no change with the blue litmus paper. It means the substance keep the ammonia solution. Now we are moving test for the cations using another reagent like the aqueous ammonia, because we know that in case of aluminum, lead and zinc, they were producing the white precipitate in sodium hydroxide solution. Now we are reacting these solution with the aqueous ammonia. Again white precipitate, the same result like sodium hydroxide. We are adding some more aqueous ammonia, still white precipitate. But in case of sodium hydroxide, the white precipitate were dissolved. Okay, now in case of zinc, we are adding aqueous ammonia. Again the white precipitates, adding some more aqueous ammonia, still okay, the white precipitate has been dissolved. But what was happening in aluminum, where the white precipitates were not dissolving in ammonia, but it was dissolving in excess quantity of sodium hydroxide. Now these are the steps. By the help of these steps and color change, you can identify or predict what kind of cation is present in the salt solution. Now the lead 2 positive. Now beta tell me, now you will tell me what is happening here. Okay beta, okay beta, क्या हुआ यहाँ पे?
So upon adding the ammonia, the white precipitates formed in the lead solution.
On adding some more ammonia solution, what is happening here? Okay,
The white precipitate doesn't dissolve in it.
very good. In case of calcium, tell me. No little form कोई precipitate नहीं हुए, but in previous case that there was white precipitate. When calcium was reacting with sodium hydroxide, it was producing the white precipitate. But in ammonia, there was no white precipitate. Okay. Now in case of copper 2, the same result. Okay, blue precipitate, adding some more sodium hydroxide. Blue precipitate has been dissolved. In case of iron, aqueous ammonia is there. The dirty green precipitate, look at here, adding some more ammonia solution. Still dirty green precipitates are there. Iron 3 positive. Red brown precipitate. Iron 3 positive, some more. Red brown precipitate is still there. Okay, that was the NCHS science department presentation that I got it. Okay, this is also found in the reference of my PowerPoint presentation. Now, beta, there is another thing that we need to identify, the qualitative analysis of the anions. Just I'm showing basically there are different anions. The negative ions, what we are doing, like this is bromide. Look at here. Bromide. And we are putting silver nitrate solution. The white precipitates are forming. We will just use the silver nitrate in different kind of solutions. Now look at here. We have chlorides. We have silver nitrate solution. The white precipitates will be formed. Please write it down on your notebook. On adding silver nitrate with the chloride solution, the white precipitate will be formed. Okay, on adding ammonia solution, the white precipitate will dissolve again. On adding silver nitrate, white PPTs are formed. On adding ammonia, white precipitate has been dissolved in case of chlorine. But when we expose to light, the white precipitate will turn gray. There is no need to focus on that chemical reaction, because now this is bromine, the bromide, the silver nitrate will be added here, the pale cream solution will be formed, the pale cream precipitate, the yellowish, the light yellow color precipitate will be formed here. On adding ammonia solution, the precipitate will dissolve slightly. If the precipitate is exposed to sunlight, it will turn gray in color slowly. Means the precipitate color will turn slowly when they react with the sunlight. Now, in case of iodide, again adding silver nitrate solution, the pale yellow precipitate and silver iodide is water soluble. That's why on excess ammonia, the precipitate will still there and the precipitate will not dissolve. Okay, if the precipitate exposed to light, there is no color change, means still they are white, but in case of previous condition they turn grayish. There is no need to focus on these chemical reactions. Like we can also perform the chlorine water and hexane in chloride, shake the sample and observe. Okay, but this is also not the part of your course. That's why do not focus on chlorine water and hexane. Just focus on silver nitrate and other solutions. That was about our today class, and that was I'm just trying my level best to produce here what kind of precipitate you can identify. This is a chart that I'm going to share on your WhatsApp. It will help you to understand the concept of these things. Okay, I'm just going to send this chart on your WhatsApp. Thank you very much, beta. Is there any question? I'm here to discuss.
Sir, I was actually just wondering if you can send me the PowerPoint presentation
Yeah,
as
yeah,
well.
yeah. I'll also send the
Okay, thank
PowerPoint
you, sir.
presentation. Okay, thank you very much, beta. Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz.